Starting off at number 10, we have Cow Dai. Now this has absolutely nothing to do with sacrificing cows, so don't worry, you can keep watching. There's no animal cruelty in this episode at all. Cow Dai, also called Taoism, is a syncretic religion that's native to Vietnam, and that big word syncretic means the reconciliation or fusion of different belief systems. Cow Dai means high tower or high places, and it was founded by a man named Van Chiu, who claimed to have received revelations in 1919 during a seance. Ooh. Then things got really creepy, okay? So Van started talking to this spirit, and the spirit started talking back to him, and he said that his name was Duke Cow Dai. And as creeped out as he was, Van Chiu, he believed that he was talking directly to God, and from there, Taoism was formally established in the year 1926. Cow Dai contained certain principles from Confucianism, Taoism, beliefs in karma and rebirth from Buddhism, and organizations similar to Catholicism. Next up is Falun Gong. Falun Gong means law wheel practice, and the main Falun Gong text is Zhuan Falun, meaning rotating the law wheel. It describes the wheel of law as a mystical orb of energy that rotates in the lower abdomen, and the energy gives health and has supernatural powers linked to it. Falun Gong is a Buddhist-based practice of meditation and moral living. Although it came on the public scene in China in the year 1992, its roots go way back thousands of years. Today, tens of millions of people practice Falun Gong in China, but unfortunately for people who practice this, they've been the target of intense persecution, especially since the year 1999, when the Chinese Communist Party began the anti-religious campaign to eliminate Falun Gong practices in China. The Unification Church is up next, so I'm about to take you to church. Amen. Yeah, well that's more like Southern Black Church, but this is totally not that. What the Unification Church is actually a religious movement founded in South Korea by a man named Reverend Sun Myung Moon. The religion was originally known as the Holy Spirit Association for the Unification of World Christianity, but since the 1990s it has shifted into a collection of independent organizations associated with the Unification movement. The Unification Church sees Sun Myung Moon as the Messiah who will put God's love into his followers and complete the work that Jesus started. Born in the year 1920, Sun Myung Moon was raised in the Presbyterian Church, which eventually excommunicated him for heresy. According to his teachings, the world was created from God's inner nature, which is reflected in the two expressions of life. The first is Sung, song, meaning cause and masculine, and Hyung Song is result and feminine. Sun Myung Moon believed that although Jesus was able to create the conditions necessary for humanity's spiritual salvation, he did not marry anybody, so he wasn't able to complete God's plan. No surprise why he got excommunicated, bringing up ideas like that. At number 7 we have Aladura. So Aladura mixes Anglican, Pentecostal, and traditional African beliefs. Now there is a big emphasis on healing and attaining salvation in this life. The religion's ministers are given an iron rod, and it symbolizes the powers of the prophet. A minister who is viewed as a prophet touches objects brought by people who come for prayers and for healing, and apparently some real miraculous things start to happen. The term Aladura means praying people in the Yoruba language. The Aladura movement started at Ijebu-Ode, Nigeria in 1918, and this movement later transformed into the Living Faith Church worldwide and to the Christ Apostolic Church. Today, many churches in the western Nigeria are labeled as Aladura. Moving on to number 6, we have Ekankar. The purpose of Ekankar is to make God an everyday reality in your life. It's a religious movement partly based on elements of yoga and was founded in 1965 by Paul Twitchell. Paul Twitchell was at one time a student of a yoga master by the name of Kirpal Singh, and Kirpal Singh believed that the universe was created by sound waves, and so the style of yoga that he practiced was known as sound current yoga. Because Paul Twitchell saw himself as a direct descendant of ancient sound current yoga masters, he modified the teachings of sound current yoga into his own spiritual movement that became known as EK for short. Members of EK believe that every person is a particle of God called soul, and people who follow this religion believe in the concept of karma and reincarnation, and that the goal of life is to become a co-worker with God as opposed to becoming one with God. Now, don't think I mentioned this, but the word Ekankar means co-worker with God. Asatru is next. The term Asatru is a Scandinavian term consisting of two parts, Asa referring to the Germanic god and goddesses, and Tru referring to faith. While Asatru was a popular religion in Iceland, some people had been converted to Christianity while traveling in Europe. During the first centuries of Iceland's history, Christianity just had a bigger impact, and by the end of the 10th century, it was clear that Asatru was on the decline. Asatru was only re-recognized as a religion in the year 1973. The basic teachings of Asatru involves keeping the major festivals of the year, which generally fall on the solstices, the equinoxes, etc. And these events would coincide with the natural calendar and the changing of the seasons. The two main styles of ritual celebrations that are done in honor of gods and goddesses are called Blot and Sumbel. There's also a lot of cultural and social activities that happen inside of this religion, but those who practice it are viewed as heathen. Okay, so I want to talk about the builders of Aditya, or Bota for short. Aditya is a Greek word for inner shrine or holy of holies. Like Jesus, who many believe was trained in Kabbalah, members of this order aspire to build the inner temple to construct the holy of holies within. And holy of holies is just a reference to the most holy place, which was the final compartment of the temple used by ancient Israel. Also, Kabbalah is a set of teachings meant to explain the relationship between God and humans. Bota was founded in the year 1922 by Paul Foster Case, and he was a senior member of the secret society called the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn in the United States. After a disagreement with Moina Mathers, who was the head of the Golden Dawn at the time, he left the Golden Dawn and formed a separate order. Some members of the Golden Dawn followed him as well, and they believe that Kabbalah is a mystical root of both ancient Judaism as well as original Christianity. Moving on down the line, we have Mazdakism next, and no, this is not some weird 50 Shades of Grey kind of spiritual practice. It's completely different. So the Mazdakites believed in two fundamental principles, light and darkness. Light is endowed with knowledge and feelings and acts by design and free will, whereas darkness is completely ignorant and blind and acts randomly without any sort of direction. Mazdakism is a religion founded by Mazdak, who is a socialist Persian Iranian reformer, prophet, and religious activist in the 6th century BC. In his early years, Mazdak was a member of the Zoroastrian priesthood, and the guiding principles of Mazdakism was to increase the light over the darkness through tolerance, justice, kindness, friendship, and love. Moving on to Cheonduism. Known as Cheondogyo in Korean, the name stems from a Korean word meaning religion of the heavenly way. And this is a belief system where God is both transcendent and also operates within heaven, earth, and inside of human beings. When one dies, one doesn't actually just go to some sort of other heaven dimension or anything like that, but rather they return to the one being. The fundamental doctrine of the religion is that all human beings are equal because all people serve God in their mind when they're born. The full essence of Cheondism is said to be contained in a 21-word formula that's recited as a way to enlightenment, and it's translated as follows. May the creative power of the universe be within me in abundance. May heaven be with me and every creation will be done. Never forgetting this truth, everything will be known. And the final religion, Candomblé. Candomblé is a religion based on African beliefs, which is very popular over in Brazil as well. Followers believe that every person has their own individual Orisha, which controls his or her destiny and acts as a protector. Now, those who follow Candomblé believe in the one all-powerful god by the name of Olodumare. And by the way, Orishas are deities sent by the supreme god. Most Orishas are said to be deities previously existing in the spirit world, and some are said to be humans who have been venerated similar to Catholic saints. Collectively, ancestor spirits are called Baba Igam in Brazil, and this is also known as Igongun in other parts of South America. During important ceremonies, priests and priestesses will masquerade as Baba Igam, and then they have these specially choreographed dances in order to become possessed by each ancestor. Also, there's no concept of good or bad in Candomblé. Each person is only required to fulfill his or her destiny to the fullest, regardless of what that looks like. But this does not give you a free ticket to do whatever you want. Candomblé actually teaches that any evil that you do or you cause to be inflicted on somebody will definitely be returned to. So the Rastafari people believe that the Ethiopian king Haile Selassie is the god of all. The aim of the Rastafarian religious movement is to restore the fire in African identity, which suffered because of the forces of colonialism. One of the most famous Rastafarians was Bob Marley, who followed the principles of the Rastafarian lifestyle, including ritual use of marijuana, avoiding alcohol, and wearing one's hair in dreadlocks. Next, we have the Agori. So the Agori is a Hindu cult who perform crude cannibalistic rituals in order to achieve the highest level of enlightenment. Followers of this cult carry a kapala, which is a cup made from a skull. They will eat anything from rotten food to animal poop. An Agori named Kinaram is responsible for these beliefs. They believe he is the reincarnation of Lord Shiva. Then we have Raelism. So Raelism was founded by the former race car driver Claude Vorilhon, now known as Rael, and that was back in 1974. This church follows the beliefs that Rael was captured by aliens and taken to the planet of Elohim, where he spent time with Jesus, Buddha, Joseph Smith, who was the founder of Mormonism, as well as Confucius. Aliens informed Rael that they created humans in their lab 25,000 years ago and will be revisiting again in Jerusalem in the year 2025. So it's 2018 now, so we're getting pretty close. Let's just see what happens in the year 2025. Okay, so the next religion is the Nation of Yahweh. Founded in Miami, the Nation of Yahweh is a religion that believes blacks are the true Jews and belong in Israel. As for the white Jews who live there, they are considered as white devils and are to be vanquished. Now, this religion practices neither Christianity nor Judaism, instead preaching Yahweh ben Yahweh as the Son of God. Yahweh ben Yahweh was the adopted name of Hulan Mitchell Jr., who founded the Nation of Yahweh. Moving on now to the Universe People. So the Universe People, or the Cosmic People of Light Powers, is a Czech and Slavic new religious movement founded in the 1990s who claim that they communicate with aliens. The religion is centered around Ivo A. Benda and several others. Their belief system is based upon the existence of extraterrestrial civilizations communicating with Benda telepathically. Okay, so we talked about Rastafarianism, but have you ever heard of Pastafarianism? Yeah, it sounds completely made up, but then again, isn't all religion kind of made up? Pastafarians follow the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster for real, yeah. And they don't really take themselves too seriously. In fact, that's the whole point of the religion. The story of the religion is that everything began with the great Flying Spaghetti Monster who worked with pirates to bring good people to Earth. Pastafarians believe that the world has arisen from the Flying Spaghetti Monster, and their official clothes are pirate clothes. So if you're just walking down the street and you see somebody dressed as a pirate, just be like, hey, Pastafarian! And just hopefully they're part of this religious movement. It's kind of like a spoof religion. If they're not, then you'll just completely look like an idiot when you yell that to somebody in the street. So be careful, guys. Okay, so this one, yeah, the Church of Euthanasia. It's technically a political organization, not really a religion. So this group refers to itself and acts like a church in many ways. It was started by Reverend Chris Corda, and they believe that the world is way overpopulated. The Church of Euthanasia encourages members to even take one's own life and avoid procreating at all costs, as well as advocating cannibalism to avoid burying bodies. We're coming close to the end of this episode, and next up we have the Aetherius Society. So in 1954, George King started the Aetherius Society, which hopes to combine alien wisdom with cosmic masters and yoga into something that will bring balance to humanity. They believe Jesus, Buddha, Krishna are aliens. The society is named after Aetherius, who is a cosmic master from Venus. That's said to have been telepathically contacted and channeled by George King. Okay, so now our second last religion is the Bullet Baba's motorbike. This is the only spiritual movement in the world where people worship a vehicle. Villagers in Chotila, India have built a shrine for the motorcycle and its dead owner. The shrine has a Royal Enfield Bullet 350cc motorcycle as its deity, along with a photo with Bullet Baba, who died in an accident at that very spot. Now, our final religion in this episode is Jedism. So there are actually people who have founded a religion or way of life based on the belief of the Force as a very real power in the universe. Jedism also adopts the beliefs from Asian religions like Buddhism and Taoism. Jedism has no central organization, but the Temple of the Jedi Order in Texas has issued a code for believers called the 16 Teachings of the Jedi.
Okay, wait a minute, guys. Alright, so normally here on the channel, my name's Dave Wapple, by the way, for those who are coming to the channel for the first time. Normally here on the channel, Leroy does his own videos and I do my own videos, but when I was editing this video, I was like, wait a minute, Leroy, you're pronouncing Jedism or Jediism as Jedism. It's pronounced Jediism. Now, I actually called him up and he said the reason he did that was because, you know, on some pages they actually pronounce it with one I, or they spell it with one I instead of two, so he got a little confused. And the other reason why I'm in this video is because I also want to just add in some extra information because, first of all, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I'm not really into the Jediism, you know, religion, because I think that's a little bit weird. But I just want to add that there was a huge phenomenon when it came to this religion, because in 2001, this is when the religion really became popular. When there was this weird sort of phenomenon, this giant movement where people in English-speaking countries like Canada, New Zealand, Australia, many people within those countries had written that Jedi was the religion for the census that they did in those countries. For example, in the UK, there was approximately 390,000 people who wrote down that Jediism was their official religion, which actually made it the fourth highest religion in the entire country. Because in 2001, in the UK, 70% of people identified as Christian, 16% identified as non-religious, while 7.8% chose not to respond. But the Muslim religion came at 3.1%, and Hinduism came at 2.1%, and Jediism came in at 0.7%. Also, as for the church in Texas, they, by 2015, got tax exemption by the IRS. So, there you go. There's just some extra cool facts about this religion that I just want to share with you. Anyways, let's get back to Leroy.
Alright guys, so that ends this episode on the 10 of the strangest religions. Let me know again down below which other religions out there do you think are just completely strange.